first, then a publisher, a writer, and an author. He has written many books, and of course we want to explore his latest writing, so to say, on this segment of the program. And we'll be looking at, I think it is titled Ogun 50 Top Role Models. First of all, let us meet, I'm glad to have you in-house, Mr. DADA OLANIPEKUN.
Pleasure meeting you.
Good to have you again.
Pleasure being here.
I like your Nigerian outfit.
Thank you.
If one is not conversant with the date, you would think maybe today is October 1st. But anyway, maybe one of these days you'll still write about Nigeria, writing about Ogun State and the top role models too. You are getting closer.
Yes.
Maybe one of these days we'll also see maybe 50 top role models in Nigeria. We should talk about it, but I know with the current situation now, that thinking is not coming. But that's not why we're here. You're welcome.
Yes, let's start the conversation by knowing what prompted your idea on writing this particular book, and particularly the topic, the title, very intriguing.
Now, you have to realize certain things about media. There is social responsibility of the media. And from my own perspective, there's a need to look at people, places, and events that have shaped Ogun State. When you look at the community called Ogun State, there are quite a lot of people who have achieved a lot for us and who have gone through a lot. Then we sat down at our editorial room. We asked ourselves, what would be our own concern for those people? Like you, like him. If you pick through the copy, you will realize that the way we handled the book, we are able to look at what is your role in this community called Ogun State. Have you done anything tangible? Can the next generation think of you? Can they believe on you? When they read, will you be a model too? Because we need role models. Awolowo came in, he's gone. He was a role model. Abiola came in, he was a role model. Fela came in, he was a role model. We mentioned those names that have gone. They played their parts. But we are concerned with the living who are still with us. And it cuts across the various human endeavors. It's like looking at somebody like Bangbushi, who was there before. Is he not a role model? It's like looking at Professor Dile Odunlami. Is he not a role model? It's like asking yourself, is the GM of OGTV, is he not a role model? That is talking about media. Is Dr. Akwankpa not a role model? Is Dr. Shifade not a role model? Many people like that. And then also when you go to service, you are in public service, that some who are in civil service. When you look at civil service and public service, we have to be fair to them. And in the book, we are fair to them. And we take a look on the senatorial aspect of the book. You don't want to leave behind anybody from so. They won't accuse you of saying it's an Egba thing, it's an Ijebu thing, it's an Remo thing, it's a Yoa thing. No, it cuts across. And in spite of that, we also look at the issue of those who have been here and who are not indigenous of Ogun State and who have reflected properly on the growth and development of Ogun State.
Wow.
Because we have seen them as one of us. Most of them is either they've been here for 10 to 20, 30 years and they are still with us. As far as we are concerned, they are one of us. And that reflects, it shows that, yeah, we are deep with our thinking. And we also realize that some of them we featured is like Dr. Fijabi, too. So to mention others like that, it's like some of them were in the real estate but who are not from here, but who have done a lot for the growth and development. In short, the essence is looking at community and humanity who are reflecting on the growth and development of Ogun State.
How much of pressure, how much of headache? Because looking at your explanation and limiting, I know Ogun State is blessed,
Yep.
no doubt. If you want to go 100, you can go 100. Now, to now say you are going 50, that should be tough. And covering all that. For example, if I read that book, I don't know your perspective. I've not seen it. I'll see it. I'll touch it now. And I didn't see anything from the sports angle. I could be disappointed. I don't know whether it's there. You will answer. So I'm just asking, the criteria for you to arrive at this tough 50 is tough, out of as many as 100 or probably more than 100 in different shapes, so to say, just as you have explained, and narrow it down to a few, like 50. It must have been a tough job, no doubt, and it will be interesting to look at. Mr. OLANIPEKUN.
I think you got certain things right. You asked the headache, the challenges. Initially, we wanted to rule out 100. Part of the headache was not getting certain things right from those we wanted to list. We did Ricky. If I check for those 100, at the end of it, there were some of them who did not meet our expectations. There were some of them that, before we went to the press, deliberately we asked them some questions. And at the end of it all, we discovered that they weren't fit to be a role model. We yanked them off. So the headache is there, no doubt about that. But if I have passion for something, I'm a writer. I've been the chairman of the Association of Nigerian Authors 2 times. I've been able to meet highly placed writers in this state. So it shaped me. It shaped us, because I'm not the only one who wrote the book. My other colleague, Moshood Adebayo, also a reporter, also a publisher of a magazine. So, in short, the headache was there. The headache is still there. Was it the headache of getting the people properly reflected, or the headache of actually getting things done properly, or the headache of the printers? Because at the end of it all, it's one thing to write good books. It's another thing to have good printers. That is a big problem with certain area of the printing aspect. I don't want to talk about that.
Mr. OLANIPEKUN, do I have a role model from my primary constituency?
I wanted to answer that. I was expecting your reaction in connection with that. We wanted to list about 2 from your constituency. Unfortunately, we didn't get reaction back on time because there was deadline for our project. So eventually, when we realized, I told you earlier that we wanted to list 100. We shaped it down to 50. And we yanked up quite a lot of people. People who are unable to meet our deadline. We yanked them up. So from your constituency now, you realize that unfortunately we didn't get anybody from your constituency. So what do we do?
Well, I don't know.
I'm going to ask in line with what he said earlier. These 50 top models, what do they constitute? What field in particular? He mentioned sports earlier, but sports aside.
Maybe I will answer that question. Let me quickly brief this follow-up, Mr. OLANIPEKUN. I'm curious, especially as you mentioned, I'm using sports as an example, for example. And you mentioned that for you to list any of these 50, apart from pinpointing them, you must have an opportunity to talk to them and get a reaction. So we cannot get a role model without talking to that role model and looking at what history have said about him that he has done. Before you now answer, Miriam.
Now, you see, this is not our first role model. This is the third series. In our second series, we had somebody on sports. In our first series, we had somebody on sports. But this edition, we didn't have anybody on sports.
I'm not talking sports per se.
Okay.
Now, role model.
Right.
You could sit down at the corner of your house and, of course, begin to see Mr. Chief so and so from what history I've said of him, from what I know of him. Do I really need to interview him? Do I really need to get a feedback? Don't I have enough evidences here and there to now believe that, yes, truly, this particular personality that comes to mind is a role model?
The concept is this: research first. The second approach is talk to somebody who knows him. The third approach is talk to somebody who doesn't know him. Part of our research. During the production of this edition, we asked them, some of them wanted to list, that we identified, because we did a research of 1 year naming, getting names first. Then we contacted them to get us their citation. We asked them to give us somebody who can talk about them. Now we went at their back to talk to people about them. So when you look at all this aspect of Ricky, sorry for using their military words, you will discover that we've been able to identify you. It's like saying you're a sportsman. If the human aspect of you, agreed you're a sportsman, if the human aspect of you is nothing to write home about, then you're not a successful role model as far as we are concerned. They may enjoy your being sports personality. But if, on the other hand, you are not a responsible person in the community, we can't look at you as a role model.
You have to be balanced.
There has to be a balance. People will be questioning us and be asking us, how did you come about this? How did you get across this? Let us start Fijabi again. Fijabi never knew we were going to list him in the book. We called him and we told him to send us his citation. He sent it in, right? We asked people. As a matter of fact, somebody suggested him. One of our role models suggested him that, oh, he would prefer him to talk about him, the person. Then he said, well, fine. He will talk about you. He's also a responsible person. As he's talking about you, let's find about the person too who's talking about somebody. So we ask, I'm only citing Fijabi because that's a test case, right? He told us details about him. So okay, send in your citation. He sent in the citation. Eventually, we discovered some flaws in the citation. We called him back. Then he corrected it. Then we asked him again to read. That's another thing we did, because we didn't just publish about you after writing about you without sending it back to you. Right? We sent it back to him to read. And we were able to get things properly done. So straight now to the issue on ground. Did you do research? Did you find out about them? Did you just list them without finding out? We did good research. We sat down properly. And in terms of writing, because the aspect of creative writing, the aspect of journalistic writing, because journalists wrote this book. That is another aspect of responsibility of a journalist. Because it's only in Nigeria that I've been able to see that mentally journalists are lazy. But if you are in US or in Britain, concept and approach of journalism is book writing. And this is a challenge for my other junior colleagues. It's an aspect that is not easy, but it's an aspect that is the easiest if you're a Catholic reader. But if you're not a Catholic reader, you can't know people. And I've been in this state now for more than 40 years. I've been able to identify people. Quietly, I revolutionize the issue of media. Quietly, as I look at the issue of media, I also look at the issue of creative writing. Because if I could have Shoyinka in this village called Ogun State, if I could have Obasanjo too in this village called Ogun State. So at the end of it all, it shows that this is a very rich and versatile state. with creative-minded people. And the issue is not on that alone. How do we now look at people in our community who have been able to do something reasonable? I remembered that there was a time you were at an event and they were asking you, are you the one? You in particular. Then that's something about media. They are looking at you from the perspective of a sportsman who have been able to achieve certain things when it comes to sporting activities. It shows you're a role model. Maybe tomorrow when we are writing other things on sporting activities and those who are in sporting activities, we will work on you too. Because it's not just one thing down. It's a continuous project for us in this state, just to achieve a purpose. How do we now get people recognized when they are alive, not when they are dead? The living.
I understand.
Well, my other question, yeah, it featured the people in the across. Did you feature people across all fields of life?
Yeah, that's essential.
I said it, that it cuts across all human
education,
the endeavor. If you take through it, you find certain people that will shock you in terms of, what they've done, what they have achieved. So in short, it cuts across. Mention them.
Maybe what is on your mind that you're afraid to ask, I'll help you, is about gender. Ask him.
Gender.
I'm speaking.
Prince Shogbeson shocked me when I interviewed her. I don't want to talk about that.
Okay.
She talked about her life. She exposed her life. Certain things I never knew. Certain things people have never been able to confirm. And we sent the manuscript back to her. Do you still want to retain? They say yes. Go ahead.
Wow.
So when you look at that, we also have a former chairman of Professor Onifade, a librarian, former chairman of Association of Librarians in Ogun State. That's being gender sensitive. We also have somebody from Association of Surveyors.
Any plans to formally launch this book and to make it public? Very interesting, no doubt about it.
Already.
You have a copy there. Let me have it.
I have a copy.
Miriam, let's touch this copy.
Already.
Can I have the camera on this copy? I know you've been there. Just look at. Can the camera come on me, please? Okay, that's the copy you are seeing there. And of course, you can also see the way Mr. OLANIPEKUN dressed to the studio. And look at the
cover page.
The book itself, same color, but green and white. Mr. OLANIPEKUN is also dressed in green and white, so this means I was right. And anyway, the plans.
Okay, the plans. Let me first of all defend the issue of green and white. We have no other country except this country. No matter what we're going through, we must love the country. No matter the aspect of leadership, right? The aspect of green is one of those things I appreciate. And when it comes to Greek, the country has it, right? So I appreciate green colors and white colors, right? Being patriotic to the country I belong to. Now, on the issue of public presentation, we have done that already.
Okay.
And we have been able to achieve our goals.
Oh,
because there is a concept of communication with it. We ask ourselves, how do we get it across to the younger generation?
Very, very important.
Now, we chose those we featured without asking them to pay kobo or toro for being featured. Then we ask them, you must buy copies. When it comes to the issue of readability, we ask them, okay, if you claim to be from so-so local government, can you do us something? Can you buy about 20 copies and send it to public schools in your
local government?
Your local government. And they accepted that. Well, that's a good suggestion. So now, at least 99% of them who are there, we've been able to achieve that through aspect of readability, that you buy copies. You send it to your local government, or you buy copies, you give it to friends, or when you are doing events, you donate it to friends. So the aspect of readability has been covered by getting it to public schools in Ogun State, because we want those Generation Z, are they Generation D, or are they Generation F? I don't know. But those of them who are in that aspect, that there must be continuity of readability for them to read. When they go to their libraries, either to look, oh, is this person is Noshila who is featured? Because I know you are bothered about readability.
Quick one, you agree with me that that is criticism. Critics is allowed.
Normal.
Yes, you agree with me that some people will go through this.
Yes, please.
And maybe pick one or few names and say they don't agree with you. Have you come across those who said so? On your choice as this personality being a role model, you just explained something to me now when I brought out sports.
Okay.
I mean, flipping through the book, somebody will just see somebody and we're going by maybe what you don't know about that person or something anyway. But is it normal? And you must have heard. Have you heard? And what has been your reaction, or what will be your reaction to such?
I'll be lying to you as a reporter that I wouldn't expect criticism, whether constructive or destructive criticism.
That's right.
I've come across one recently, even from one of them we featured. I won't mention his or her name, right?
Criticizing is you be featuring him or
featuring other people.
Criticizing he enjoyed, I presume he liked the book, but he said, oh, as far as this is concerned, your book is not fine.
Below standard.
You sure? Thanks. I said, well, you are entitled to your right, to your criticism, because you may not get the kind of standard we are looking at. You may not look at the issue of finance and printing business, right? We are not in printing business. But if you are saying that, oh, the book, you didn't criticize the content because you like the content. But it is your right to say, well, I called him on phone.
I'm talking about somebody criticizing a personality or one or two personalities there.
Featured.
Okay. And of course, taking to you, no, I don't agree with you on this. Have you had such an experience?
No, we have not had that. We are still expecting that. Because we'll be fools to say we mustn't have reactions, right? How can we have a population of more than 3 million in Ogun State, and we only wrote about 50 people? How can we say we mustn't have criticism? How can we say people should not identify certain flaws? It's not that we are entitled to your opinion. And if you are lucky enough to meet us, we defend ourselves. But if we are lucky to meet you, we just tell you, oh, please, when we are doing another one again, we know what to do.
You take the correction.
Okay, how much is this book and where can we get it, so to say?
All right.
From your explanation, this thing is doing well. It has already done well.
Right.
From your public presentation and the method you use in getting people, not about big launching, but just buy copies and spread it across. Fine.
I think your question is appropriate in the sense that we have globalized this edition. If you look at it, you see that we are on, is it Google or what do you call it?
Amazon.
Amazon, okay.
Yeah. That is aspect of international readership. Because we have realized that hard copy and soft copies, right, they go along with one another. And issue of soft copy is the easiest to sell. So you can get it on Amazon. All you need to do is download. That is for soft copy, which is the easiest. The issue of hard copy is just not easy for now. But we have placed it strategically in some bookstores. And we are also doing that.
In Ogun State?
In Ogun State for now, right? Now, there's something you asked about the price.
Yeah.
Obasanjo taught me a lesson of pricing books. That is Chief Obasanjo. When I was the chairman of Association of Nigerian Authors, Ogun State chapter. We went to him on courtesy call, right? He came in late, and they said, Emma Bino. That shocked me. But what shocked me most is, I asked him, General sir, your books are expensive, especially the theology, the book you wrote, My Watch. Under my watch.
My watch.
Because I bought copies for about 15,000 then. And some of my books are only the one on poetry, short stories for schools, are only 1,000, 2,500, except I will call myself a lucky dog, because one of the books was bought by government in power for all the secondary schools. Then I got paid for it. And one of the books, also 500, 1,000, was also recommended by this current government. Again, that is the aspect of 500, 1,000. But writers cannot survive on that kind of stipends selling or marketing. So we sat down at our marketing section, right? If the first edition or the second edition was sold without making much profit, what do we do now? So I told one or two of my colleagues that if we are going to sell this now, how much do we sell it? They suggested 2,000, 5,000. I said, well, the production cost is, I won't talk about the production cost here. It's expensive. The unit price is expensive. So how can I sell this one 500? Then I brought the issue of my Obasanjo aspect, who sold his book at 15,000. I said, well, Baba sold his book at 15,000. He told me that day to go and write yours, record here. And I said, record here, which book can I write that I can be able to sell at 15,000? I sat down in my library for 6 good months. I couldn't get the idea of record here until when the issue of this kind of books, reals is said. Then the first experience, it didn't work, we sold it 2,000. The second experience, we sold it 5,000. We didn't make any profit. I said, well, let's look at how we can up this. Let's use Obasanjo's aspect, records here. Let's write good aspect. Let's look at the people. First of all, those of them we are going to list, we are not going to ask them to pay for being listed. But they will do us a favor by buying copies at 15,000 per copy.
Okay.
I hope I've been able to answer your question.
I agree, I understand. So, Rekotier became Relatier. So it's,
I like that.
Thank you very much. I think all the best. You remain a kind of a motivating factor for some of us coming behind you.
Thank you.
And I also like you because when you see some of us also doing well in our old areas, in our primary constituencies, at times you shock us. Even when they don't invite you to events, you come because you believe in what we are doing and you believe in that project. That's Mr. DADA OLANIPEKUN for you. You continue to remain a star for some of us to tap into and begin to cool, calm, and collected. You don't make noise, but the achievements are just there. Thank you very much. I hope you
write on yourself too as well someday.
No, I don't want to write about myself. I want to write about the people who matter in the community. Because I will be more or less. Actually, I accuse some of them who are featured there that it is a challenge for you to write your memoirs or write your biography or autobiography, right? Because hardly do you see people, 90% of our elders, they don't write about their memoir. And from there we have to learn. Because if you cut across, if you move not in this country, outside the country, you see other developed economy, people writing about themselves for people to learn.
Mr. Abeokuta, thank you very much for coming onto the program.
My pleasure.
We hope to see more of you and more of this laudable work of yours. Of course, that's how it's going to be. We've been talking about this Ogun 50 top role models. One of the latest things brought out by Mr. DADA OLANIPEKUN, a veteran journalist, a publisher, a writer, and an author. Well, it doesn't matter where you place yourself or where you see yourself after this interview. Either you are for us or you are against us. As we go on this break and come back for trading, I will just say, Rekotier. We'll be back.
Thank you.